My name is Rahul Sharma. I've been in the corporate America for 20 years, transforming people, transforming leaders, and ensuring that people who wants to move to the next level, they take steady steps. It's all about taking steps. We all may be great individuals, but if we have to the next level, we have to work as one team. Before we get started, a quick note. The opinions expressed here are my own and those of my guest. This conversation is intended for informational and educational purposes only. Always seek expert guidance for your unique situation. And I'm also pleased to inform you that NESDA Global is a proud sponsor for this season's podcast. Thank you, NESDA.
Ever wondered what it's like to have an offshore team working for you right here in the Philippines?
I work with a Canadian client. NESDA provides me everything from workstation, a stable internet, and HR support, and a team that feels like family.
Working with NESDA's workforce outsourcing team is fast-paced, exciting, at times challenging, but that's exactly what makes it rewarding. It's an opportunity to collaborate with people from diverse culture, gain new knowledge and skills, and be part of a team that supports clients across the globe. We are NESDA Workforce Outsourcing.
Thinking of expanding your global team? Email us at contactus@nesdaglobal.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Climb, the Confident Leader podcast, where we share the stories of leaders moving from being invisible to becoming an influencer. And today, I have an amazing guest coming in from investment banking. She has been part of this journey where she had gone through a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges. She is a financial professional turned world traveler, international speaker, author, and the founder of Embolden Adventures, an encouragement platform that inspires personal, professional, and spiritual development through these extraordinary times of change and transformation. She's also, as I said, she's an author. Her book is upcoming, where we'll learn today about her new book. She has explored over 43 countries. Wow, 43, ladies and gentlemen, more than half of the states of the United States. What makes her story truly remarkable is her deep 2-decade spiritual awakening and quest for self-discovery achieved by working with wisdom keepers, connecting with the natural world, and answering the call to adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sara Roccisano to our show. Welcome to our show, Sara. How are you doing today?
Hi, Rahul. I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I appreciate it.
Awesome. I'm glad that you're here. I'm very excited to know about the transition. Someone who has been at a close to C-level position in the corporate world, in the financial world, the world where everyone wants to be there to make more money, and then you move to a discovery, a path of self-awakening. Please enlighten our listeners, Sara, about your leadership journey so that they get a sense of what all you have done, what all you have accomplished, and what all you have gone through.
Happy to do that, Rahul. I was a 20-plus year career veteran across both Wall Street, private equity, renewable energy, and in government. And that sort of career transgression I took in the heart of New York City that whole entire time was fraught with a lot of challenges. You know, I made it, if you can think about it that way. I had the best educations, both from my undergrad and grad school. I was at the top tier investment bank. I touched $30 billion of deals, of which I closed 12 billion throughout my career. But also, too, I had a lot of job losses. I was out of work 3 times due to layoffs. At one point, I was out of work for 2.5 years straight while I was holding down a mortgage in Midtown Manhattan. So times were hard despite it looking quite sexy on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very stressful. There was a lot of high stakes involved in this sort of lifestyle. Not only advising clients, as you mentioned, in the C-suite kind of realm, but also trying to be an innovator in a world that was brand new to renewable energy at the time. So it required a lot. And you are in, a very intense environment, like the best and the brightest you'll find around the world. But
Yeah.
that being said, I still persevered, but at a toll, right? My mental health, my confidence, and just exhaustion in some ways, burnout.
Mm.
So I traveled the world a lot while I was working in this sort of environment for about 20 years. But I did hit my breaking point in 2022, and that's when I
Mm.
definitely chose myself. And I decided I
Mm.
was going to walk away from it all and start something new in a transformed way, in a more authentic way.
Very good, very good. And I know when we were chatting earlier, you come from an Ivy League and you do support the students who are studying at Cornell. Cornell, you were at Cornell, right?
Yep, Cornell
Yeah.
University, go Big Red.
Yeah, and you connect with the alumni and sorry, the students, and you are very vocal in helping them to move away from uh, all this turmoil, all this stress, mental health related issues. So tell us, how was it like to graduate from an Ivy League, to get a job in Wall Street, which is, as I said earlier, is probably dream come true for many. And then when you pivoted, what were some of the mindset shift you had to go through to move from the self-doubt to confidence in your leadership journey? Enlighten us.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about on that question. Well, what I learned is where I'm helping students currently, as you mentioned. So
Mhm.
I have the beautiful opportunity to work with these students on campus, whether they are undergrad or even grad students. And I am one of the more popular ones that they come to amongst the alumni at Cornell. So I feel very, very blessed for that. It's a natural, organic sort of experience
Connection.
because they very much align to that mindset
Mhm.
messaging.
Mhm.
And time at Cornell, I was an engineer. I was in the engineering school. So that was one of the more challenging schools to be in at Cornell. And I didn't do very well as an engineering student. I was not the A student. I was struggling very much while I was there. So the struggle actually prepared me, I think, a lot for the real world.
Mhm.
And, I kind of had that lack of confidence when I was on campus because I thought that they made a mistake. I wasn't supposed to be chosen.
Mhm.
This is something that, all these kids from around the world, the best and brightest from their countries are here. And here I am, like struggling to even answer a problem set. So that sort of mentality, I think that mindset message is what the students are gravitating toward these days.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, Wall Street seems attractive, especially to a lot of these students. But then once
Mhm.
I get on the call with them, it's more of a listening to what's resonating for self, ultimately.
Mhm.
And I think that's the story I think you're asking is, we think we're going to be one thing because that's what's
Mhm.
supposed to be, or that's the most, interesting, cream of the crop sort of job you can get out of the best school systems. But then when you get there, you realize, oh my goodness, this may not be me. This is not for me. This is not making me happy. This isn't something that's worthwhile long term, right? A lot of
Mhm.
people burn out in banking. They're there 2 years, maybe at most. I was there for almost 10. So
Mhm.
there's a lot to learn from that.
Sure.
But yes, I think that's the ultimate message is how do you find your authentic self? And where do you go
Mm.
with that? And how do you invent in a way that feels right for you, that's not putting yourself in some sort of a label or standard? Because we are in a world right now, as you know, in the education system, they kind of want to put us in a box. They kind of want to,
Mhm.
cookie cutter us, right? This is how it has to
Mhm.
be. This is the prescribed path. This is how you're going to succeed because this is the way you have to go.
Mhm.
But that also, takes away the whole, discovery of self and the process of learning and growing beyond school. So there's so much to go from there. But I think that's true leadership for yourself ultimately when you do learn these lessons.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, let's say for Ivy League, not just Cornell, other Ivy League students who are listening to this episode, um, what would be your one or two advice for them that based on your experience, what you have gone through, what would be your message to existing Ivy League students?
Ivy League students in particular, or students more broadly as college students?
Probably, so we can cover both, but more mainly Ivy League because the reason I said Ivy League because there is a huge competition just to be there. And when you are there, you think that you are the brightest kid from the school and you were the only one from your school. And then there are 100 others like yours when you go there. And you get into that motion that did I make the right choice? Oh, Rutgers would have been better for me. Why did I choose here? It's an out of state fee, and all those questions start coming in. So that's where I thought that if it's an Ivy League student listening to our message, I'm sure it would be applicable to others as well, but more importantly, the Ivy League. What would be your advice to them?
I think that's a great question now. So the reality is there's a little bit of a challenge, I think, as an Ivy League student. There's a label, right? And an expectation. And there's a lot of pressure with that label and an expectation and questioning, right? Like I said just before, I didn't think I deserved to be there. I thought they made a mistake. Why'd they choose me, right? And
Mhm.
then here I am struggling the entire time I was on campus, feeling I wasn't enough. So there's already that mindset that's coming in. And then in engineering school, it adds to it, right? And they said to us one of the first days in school, they said, look to your right, look to your left. You know, you all came in as A students, but know that you're going to be a C student, some of you, or most of you. And I definitely was. So it definitely takes a hit on the ego for sure. And you question whether, again, like I said, am I good enough? Can I handle this? This is way too much. I'm overloaded. The pressure is real. And then when you leave and you graduate, I mean, Cornell kind of had this hard work ethic, I think, comparatively to, we'd like to think we're the hardest working ones amongst all of them. Like Harvard has a gentleman's B, for example. And so we're
Mhm.
like, okay. And even your, honors kind of work, requires you to apply and put forth a project to get the honors accolade. So there's a lot of work that goes into these sort of accolades at
Mhm.
Cornell. But for us, like it was a bit of like, okay, now I'm graduated. This should be my golden ticket, right? In interviewing or jobs, in the job, on the job. And it still turns out that there's a lot that also like shakes your ego. I'm finding a lot of my graduating students are still having trouble finding a job. They're still
Mhm.
having trouble getting internships, and they think their Cornell education will help, and it does to a degree, but it's still a challenge. It's not an easy answer as
Mhm.
we were maybe thought to think. But Cornell did prepare me in a lot of ways, I will say, especially in the engineering program. It taught me how to critically think, which is very important.
Mhm.
And it teaches, how to work hard and how to figure things out, when they're very challenging and you don't know where to go. So there are some great things that can come out of these sort of programs. But generally speaking, though, yes, it's almost as if there's a sense of entitlement when you leave these high prestige universities, that everything should be easy now, right? The doors should be open for me and everything should just glide and I should never get laid off.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
deserve better, but that also needs to be shook, that sort of mentality, because it's always going to be a discovery process when
Mhm.
you're out in the real world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, students, there would be a discovery process. There would not be a steady stone path for you. Yes, Cornell or Ivy League will give you a stepping stone, but that is not only it. You need to know yourself. You need to really follow your inner calling to really make a difference in professional life. So, thank you, Sarah, for sharing that wonderful segment from your story. Now, I learned that you have a book coming in later this year. If it's okay, please share with us what is that book all about and who did you write it for? What was your inspiration? Because from a Wall Street professional to an author, it's a kind of a big leap. So share with us what all went through.
Absolutely. Yeah, does it make sense? How'd you go from an engineer and an MBA in finance to writing a book?
Write a book and that too around that personal development, professional development. If it would be around engineering or maybe a finance, understandable. But this is a completely different segment. So I'm sure there would be a lot of learnings that would have gone through.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I wasn't a great writer. I did love writing as a young kid. And I say this in my afterword in the book. The call to write was early on, and I ignored it. I went toward the STEM focus of, science, math, business, and I kind of ignored the fact that I guess, liked to write. And so my writing skills they were all right. They weren't great. I didn't practice. And one of the reasons why I went into engineering school is because, kid you not, I did not want to write a 15-page term paper for a history class. I wanted to do problem sets and do logic, like math problems. And so, when I got to Wall Street, I actually learned how to write there. And I do give props to my managing director at the time because I would write the market write-ups, how did the market perform? How did the sectors perform? What was going on in terms of some sort of analysis that we could provide as content to our clients in advisory work and helping them make decisions on selling a company or raising capital or, bringing their stock public. So writing and communication was critical. And that was a skill set that needed a lot of honing because I was stuck in a library all day, struggling with my problem sets. So that's the true kind of, win of a banker is the ability to communicate, the ability to advise, and the ability to win deals to get the job done and then execute and close the deal. And that requires the ability to think and communicate. So my managing director had that red pen every time I put together presentations to clients or, like I said, doing the analysis and the write-ups. He would sit there and just, correct my grammar. And eventually I got the hang of it. But at the same time, I really enjoyed writing and my love of travel. I wanted to showcase to the world, like, here I am here, and here's what I learned there. And, I came across this really cool person and, far across the world, and here's my love of diving. And so I was doing travel blogging in a way that was just kind of for my own. And in my commute from Brooklyn, when I used to live in Brooklyn, and I worked on Park Avenue in Manhattan, I'd take the subway every day, about an hour. And for me, I'd sit there and write in my journal. And now I have about 30 journals that have really documented my life since I graduated Cornell 20 plus years ago. So when I hit my breaking point, I decided I was going to turn my travel journals into a book, one of many books. And this story that's coming out is part of a transformational series, my Embolden Adventures transformational series. This is book 1 of 3. This is my Awake and Radiate book, which talks about my 5-week adventure in late 2019 into early 2020, where I actually dared the universe. And the universe answered by laying me off at the end of 2019 when I worked in downtown Manhattan. And there I went on a 5-week adventure from Morocco to the Amazon rainforest, where I worked with the Shipibo shamans and did 7 ayahuasca ceremonies, the psychedelic plant medicine that I had never touched the psychedelic prior to coming to the Amazon. And here I am working with the wisdom keepers. And then from there onward, I go on to Lake Titicaca and the Andes Mountains in Bolivia. And I do a lot of touring with these ancient alien sites, Tiwanaku, Pumapuku, Nazca Lines, and the like. All the while, I'm completely removed from society, completely in this kind of new world in South America and Morocco as well, all while the world's shutting down due to coronavirus. So I come back as a changed person, transformed in some ways, I awoke and I radiated. And here I am now to a world that's now shutting down because of a pandemic that was non-existent when I got on the plane at the end of January of 2020. So it's quite a great book. It's this close to being published. And then there's 2 more stories that then follow up until today, present day.
Wow. Wow, I think the first of all, kudos to your managing director who helped you and inspired you to become a writer. And leaders, if you're listening, see how one small habit from Sarah's manager progressed her to become an author. I mean, I'm sure when she was writing those market write-ups, she was not thinking about writing a book. The journals during the train ride, she was not thinking about writing a book, but how one things can lead to another. So sometimes you do not know why things are happening to you because the universe has some plans for you. you will only get to know at the appropriate time. So thank you, the managing director who helped you in taking your writing skills. Kudos. The other thing which I also learned is the multiple places that you went to, multiple people you met. I'm sure those learnings would have been substantial. And when you are at a spot where you don't see anything in the future, whatever you were thinking that okay, you have a steady job, you have everything, and suddenly that is gone, and that would have been a big shocker and I'm sure according to research, an average American get laid off close to 2.3 times in their lifetime. So it's not a great place to be. But tell us, what was those thoughts that were coming to your mind when you heard the news of your job is gone? Uh, what you did, those initial things to really bounce back and show to the world who you really are.
Yeah, that's a note. That's the answer I have for you can be a book in itself. Because I lost my job 3 times. I was in that situation 3 different times where I got laid off.
Mm,
The first time was in 2012, so right around Hurricane Sandy coming in, hitting New York City. At that point, the bank I was at, like I said, for almost 10 years, we had just survived the 2008 financial crisis. So I was able to weather that storm pretty well. But at the same time, there was a lot of aftermath that really weakened, the lots of banks, not just mine, but many. And so our bank in particular had some weaknesses that took 4 years to sort of manifest. And I was round five of that layoff kind of, I guess, moment, if you will. And so we kind of all knew the writing was on the walls. And at that point, I was pretty burnt out because I had gotten my MBA part-time at
mhm,
NYU Stern while I was working full-time 100-hour work week as a banker
mhm,
nonstop for 2.5 years. So I welcomed the first layoff. We all knew it was coming. I basically skipped out the door with a really comfortable severance package, which I don't know how those are these days, but back then that was, something you were like, okay, I got it. I could survive and not worry. And so I did a bit of a mini travel sabbatical for a year because I never had time off prior. And
mhm,
so that the first round, the first layoff was okay. I was like, I'll get back on my feet, I'll see the world, and I'll get into private equity, which ultimately all, ticked the boxes, and I did. But
mhm,
then I lost my job again after a year and a half at that private equity role. And that came as a surprise. And that came with a lot of emotion, a lot of shock, and a lot of disappointment. And I was out of work at that point for 2.5 years. So this is where the real kind of leadership and support for others, I think from my perspective and my experiences, can come in handy because I had so many doors closed in my face during those interviews and the informational networkings and the like and trying to really get a job when I was my only breadwinner. And it was hard. And that's where I talk about, that kind of, come bring you down, bring your ego down. And it's like, everything you've done doesn't just automatically guarantee something now. You got to still
sure.
work for it. And at that time, I was in my 30s.
Mm,
So it was tough. It was very tough. And I learned a lot, though. And I think it was tough because I was in a period where renewable energy still wasn't well defined. And there wasn't well defined jobs for that matter, or divisions or focus. There's a lot still resistance in these companies, especially in energy, in government, and in these institutions of finance, because there's a lot of inertia and resistance to change in those sort of environments. So that added to the difficulty. But it teaches perseverance and it
mhm,
teaches you how to speak eloquently, which is why I'm able to be a public speaker. I
mhm,
say the reason I am is because I interviewed so much and had so much rejection. Nothing bothers me. I can easily just talk to anybody at this point. Doesn't matter.
mhm,
Stage full of people, easy. Because I've been there and the interviewer is like, looking at you and judging you and
mhm,
rejecting you, and yet you still stay true to yourself. What I want, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to be patient. I'm going to trust that the universe will work in my favor. And then the third time I got laid off was, like I said, in 2019, the end of the year. And at that point, I didn't think anything of it because I was already on this adventure. It was going to be great.
mhm.
And so when I decided to walk away from my career cold turkey in 2022, I already had the experiences of what it was like to be without a job, without a
Mm.
paycheck, and without guarantees and security. So that's why I had such courage to say, that's it. I'm done. I'm in reinvention mode now, and I'm in charge.
Very good. Very good. So I think the motivation from this story that we can take is it's okay if things are going bad for us. It happens for a reason. And how you mentioned that the first time you took it very well, second time was a shocker, but eventually when in 2022 when you moved out, you were already aware of how things will go. So basically that experience of your previous layoffs really prepared you well for not I'm not saying that you need to experience layoff every now and then. That's not my message is, but the point I'm making is whatever happens to you happens for a reason. And Sarah's story is really demonstrating that and how she moved from a very firefighter, a very successful financial industry experience and exposure to coming in now helping others to not to do those mistakes. And honestly, no matter how many times you are being coached, we will still make mistake. It's okay. Making mistake is part of our life. That's fine. Don't get worried that okay, what will happen if I make a mistake? But it's all about not to repeat those mistakes. That is where the biggest learning comes in. So, Sarah, I'm a little intrigued on from your experience because yes, Ivy League as well as the financial sectors, I have seen people are just waiting to be there. And when you stepped out, when you moved into the financial world, were there any moments where you felt invisible, where you were having doubt in your own mind? Um, Tell us what was those moments and what you actually did to really come out as a winner.
Yeah. It can happen. And I think it happens in different ways for different people, right? And it's a fit, it's an alignment. Is this environment really working for me? And sometimes, when you're looking for jobs and you're interviewing and you get a rejection and they say it wasn't the right fit, right? And you take that so personally. What do you mean? I want the job. Well, what do you mean? But being on the interview side, which I've done many times too, you realize how important fit can be. And you kind of do know why that job is open, or that job position reports to that manager, or this is almost near impossible to get this job done, but yet we're still asking someone because no one internally can handle this. So we just are looking for a unicorn person who can really answer the problem. So it's almost like they sometimes know the dirty secret and set you up for failure in some instances. So, when they say you didn't get it because you're not a right fit, to say thank you. You saved me a lot of aggravation and hassle, right? And thank God because you probably would have fired me in 6 months, or I would have been miserable, or it would have prevented me from actually getting the right job that's the right fit for me. So I think that was it's happened to me on both sides, right? The interviewer and the interviewee. And that private equity job that I did get after banking, it did turn out I wasn't the right fit. And that's why it was such a shock, right? Because everything was going so great for, 10 years of my career, 2002 to 2012. And here I am now, not a good fit, but I'm bringing the best, all these accolades, the best universities, the best deals, the cream of the crop banker. And then all of a sudden, none of that mattered because it just was a kind of a toxic environment. And the global head told me point blank, you just interview well. And that was really rude. Even to today, 2025, I think she said that to me 2013. I'm still pissed about that. It's something I still need to heal from. I thought it was rude and not kind. Basically saying, "Oh, you cheated us, you fooled us. You deserve to be fired." That wasn't nice. But again, back to the fit. I wasn't a right fit for that environment, and thank God I'm no longer there. And I didn't really have enough to say on my resume about that working environment. So I look back and I'm like, it was a teachable moment, and it showed me what I don't want. So moving on, thank you very much.
Yeah. So I think learning is around the environment. So if you are being invisible, not every time it is a problem in you. there could be a problem in the environment itself. So try to recognizing where the problem is $1 million deal out there, and that's what Sarah did. She was able to uncover that maybe that environment is not right, and then she moved on to getting an environment which was suitable for her skills and the right fit. So great. Now, Sarah, I understand that you have you talk about Embolden Adventure. Please share with us what is it all about? What do you do? How you help your clients? And how our listeners, if they want to work with you, connect with you?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Well, Emboldened Adventures, as I mentioned, was a passion project. It was my travel blog for a long time. And in that time of being out of work for 2.5 years, I was in some dark moments, a lot of depression, a lot of rejection, a lot of disappointment, a lot of just feeling like nothing's working, very stuck inside my apartment, never leaving. It wasn't good for my mental health at all. And the way that I was able to move forward was starting to embrace my creativity. And so, like I said, I really love to communicate about traveling and I love to share, what I've seen. And so I created, just because I had nothing else to do, a passion project that is Embolden Adventures. And I created it in a way where I was in a business laboratory. So I learned how to LLC, trademark and create an LLC. And, I essentially took all the skills I had, advising companies, raising capital, risk mitigating, reading, contracts, talking to lawyers, figuring out the model, all that. And I put it forward this passion project. And I learned how to, create a website and I learned how to do all these other things, SEO and the like. And that actually was one of the reasons why I got hired at the job that I had in 2017, because the hiring manager liked the fact that I was a go-getter and an entrepreneur in a time where, I had really not many options. So that passion project has always been until I decided to walk away in 2022 and really level up. And now the book is kind of the first effort, but I have a whole branding project here where Embolden Adventures now is becoming an umbrella program, an encouragement platform. And the pillars underneath Embolden Adventures is my Sara Roccisano keynote speaking. It
Mm.
is my Embolden Adventures publishing. So all my books are going to be coming through my publishing arm now. And it's my Be Emboldened program, where I'm going to encourage people to get out there to see the world and to be emboldened in a way that is inspiring personal, professional, and spiritual transformation. So that's something I'll be launching soon. But all of it is kind of coming together in a way that provides opportunity for people to really seek their authentic self and to find joy in life. And the books show it, the speaking show it, and then I'll show it for you too as a way shower that I am. And then you could also
Wow.
buy my merchandise as well.
Awesome, awesome. We will definitely mention the her website and from where you can get her book and our show notes as well. But so encouraging that someone who has been at the peak of the career and now taken a pivot to help others to really know their authentic self, because that's what Sarah found for her own self after 3 layoffs, after seeing the disappointment in the corporate career, not because of her but because of the environment, and now she has created this emboldenment venture. So kudos to you for doing it, and I'm sure our listeners will really resonate with you and they will see how it can make a difference in their life, because most of us, we are going through that turmoil of being that go-getter, being there on stage to get the award without realizing that how it is impacting our health, how it is impacting our family, and how it is impacting us inside. We just don't think about it. We just keep on doing things, and suddenly we just have a breakdown because we do not listen to the universe calling. We do not listen to our own calling. So thank you, Sarah, for doing that. Now we are moving to our end of the segment. We have a fun rapid fire round, Sarah, where there will be 5 questions coming your way. And without thinking too much, I would encourage you to just give your responses. Okay? So the first one, a quotation you live by.
A quotation I live by: Chance favors the prepared mind by Louis Pasteur.
Wow. Can you repeat one more time, please?
Chance
Mhm.
favors the prepared mind, which means you got to be
Ooh,
prepared to be lucky. You can't be lucky without being prepared for it.
absolutely. Preparation is the key, folks. It's very, very important. You need to prepare when the opportunity comes. You don't need to start preparing when the opportunity knocks your door. Okay, that's the good one. Um, your go-to food you can eat anytime, anywhere.
Go-to food I can eat anytime, anywhere, chocolate.
Okay. All right. Um, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl.
Okay. All right. What's one leadership skill you wish someone had taught you earlier?
Well, your authenticity matters.
Mm, your authenticity matters. Wow. That's a lot of words. I mean, less words, but deep meaning in that answer. So thank you. Final one. If your career were a Netflix series, what would be the title of season one be?
Be emboldened.
Be emboldened. Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sarah for you, someone who has been the peak of the career in the corporate journey and now found her authentic self and now teaching others to find that same authentic self in themselves. Before we let you go, any final words of wisdom for our listeners who could be the students, corporate professionals, Wall Street Journal professionals, anyone in general? What would be your final words of wisdom?
Well, I think what you were saying earlier is what I wanted to support. Let's not do things for others in the sense of their approval, right?
Mm,
Because if you're constantly doing things expecting, an accolade or someone to like say good job, because that's what school teaches us, right? Like spit back something so you can get an A. So that means you're sacrificing something, I think. You're overriding the internal joy, the drive for
mm,
adventure, and the drive for seeking what feels right, because you're giving the power away to the external world and the external voice. Ultimately, self-empowerment means to be empowered from within. And so
mm.
when you're grounded in that idea of self-empowerment, what makes me happy? What's the beat of my drum? How do I follow my joy? You're very grounded at that point, and you then become authentic. And at that point, the external noise doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone gave you a bad grade. It doesn't matter if someone doesn't think you're good enough. It doesn't matter. I don't care.
Mhm,
What matters is what is important for me and what makes me smile and happy because life's so short.
mhm,
And I think that's the aha that I think people
mhm,
will hopefully see after struggle and challenge because you're giving your power away to somebody else for their approval at your expense, and that's not okay.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, wow. What a final word. I think really appreciate you sharing that insight, Sarah. Before we end our episode, I will share my learnings from today's episode. Lots of learning, but in the essence of time, I will share three. The number one is self-discovery. Know your own authentic self. It's so, so important. Don't give the power of your own self in the hands of others. You need to control, you need to be empowered. Number two, when the time is tough, when you are in an invisible mode or unseen, not necessarily the problem is in you. Probably it could be the environment, it could be the people around you. Knowing what the problem is important. It is all equally important to move away from being invisible to become visible, but know the problem so that you can take corrective action. Other thing which I learned is how she became writer. I mean, it was not something that she prepared. It just happened thanks to the leader back then. So if you are a leader, you can also create the impact in someone's life, like how Sarah's manager did for her. So she continued writing. She jotted down the journals during her train ride. And that's what is getting converted into one of the three books. So kudos to you. So keep inspiring others, keep listening our episode, and thank you again, Sarah, for being with us today. Your journey is definitely is very, very inspiring. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rahul Karan Sharma, your host. Please let us know what was the favorite part of your for you in this episode. Write in the comments, and that would be very, very pleased. Thank you again, and thank you, Sarah, for being with us. Take
Thank
care.
you, Raul. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.